welcome to Rob from the Internet Talks About Beer, a show where we discuss different styles of beer, beer history, beer flavor profiles. We give shout outs to breweries we think make exceptional beer, and we talk about whatever else comes to mind during the course of our conversation. I'm Rob, and if you appreciate this style of entertainment that I'm trying to put out there, a little bit of education, a little bit of conversation, a little bit of fun, then I'd appreciate it if you'd like this video, maybe subscribe to the channel, maybe tell your friends. We've all got friends that need to know more about beer. All right. Without further ado, let's get started. So joining me today is Garth from Garth's Brew Bar. I almost said beer bar. I've been saying Garth's Beer Bar, for ages after we scheduled everything, and I looked it up. I'm like, no, I got to remember it's Brew Bar. So Garth, if you would tell me a little bit about yourself, how you got into the world of beer, and what you do when you're not talking to people like me.
Well, I can answer all those prompts except for the last one because I pretty much exclusively talk about beer to everybody. Even my wife, who says, okay, let's talk about something else after she entertains me for, a good half hour or so, but then it's got to talk other stuff. But what got me started, honestly, back in college, a buddy of mine handed me a bottle of homebrew, and it was all beer from there for me. So it tasted okay. It was not a drain pour, and I just was curious about it. I'm a pretty curious person to begin with, and asked questions about the process and what him and his buddies did, and if I could join next time. And so we did a homebrew together. I fell in love with the process. There was a local organization, the Madison Homebrewers and Tasters Guild, that we had found online and started getting involved with that. At the same time, I have a journalism background, and I love writing. And I started the Beer Beat column in the Badger Herald, which is a college newspaper here at UW-Madison, and started writing about all these brewers and breweries and brewery owners, and fell in love with their story, what they're trying to do, the impact they have on their communities, on the economy, on each other. I love the camaraderie of it. I'm sure somebody has said camaraderie in like every episode of this. It's why we're in this, is because of people like you and me and others that we could just, am I able to swear, shoot the shit with? Can I? Okay.
Yeah. No, this is an adult show made for adults by adults, and no one's monetizing this shit.
All right. Perfect. So we could shoot the shit together and have a good old time. Then I was that same buddy that got me into homebrew. We did a beercation together, and we were traveling through Hungary, Budapest. I went to this beer bar called Hops, Hops, Hops. Clever name. And that's, for me, it like clicked of, I need to do something bigger than writing about beer. And I want to figure out a different way to help breweries thrive. And a beer bar was just it for me. The owner was there. He knew everything. He could tell you more than just about the beer, but about the people behind the beer. And that was really inspiring. There was a multitude of spaces in this place that was community centric. And then there were areas that was like a little bit more private, more intimate. Thought he just hit it out of the park. There's nothing like this in Madison, Wisconsin. I got to go bring it back and make it happen. So that started my journey, 5 years of planning to open up Garth's Brew Bar. And now we just celebrated a 3-year anniversary doing that. So it is a craft beer bar focused. We just expanded into specialty coffee as well. And amidst all of me starting this business, I also work a full-time job with Encompass Technologies, which provides software for breweries, wineries, distilleries, beverage producers, if you will, that helps them run more efficiently and get to spend time in more important things than some of processes that can kind of be automated for them. So happy to chat more about the software side, but it behooves me to mention that it's kind of this dual role of I'm a craft beer bar owner, but also get to work on the software side of what brewers use. So life is good, is what I'm trying to say. Life is very good. I get to interact with breweries and brewery people all day, every day. I could not ask.
That's the dream, isn't it?
Dream.
What's funny is back in the day, my wife and I were actually considering opening up a brewery here in the Ontario area, and I've actually heard of Compass.
Have you? Oh, that's awesome.
Yes. So yeah, and as I was saying before we really started recording, I'm very familiar with Madison, Wisconsin, because I'm originally from the Rockford, Illinois area. Spent a lot of time in Madison. I mean, up until I moved here, I was, all summer long, every Saturday, farmer's market.
Mm-hmm.
Farmer's market right downtown,
Yep.
man.
Yep. And now there's more breweries around the farmers market too, so you could do your rounds, get your brunch on, and then head to a brewery and transition to beer pretty easily.
Drunken grocery shopping on the Madison Square. Yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
Dangerous, but like future you appreciates it because you're going home with something good, I'm sure.
Right. Yeah. No. I used to, like I said, I used to go up there all the time. I used to spend a lot of time up there. My daughter loved going up to the Madison area because we'd wander around the Capitol building, and then we'd take her over to like the Henry Villa Zoo and things like that. Just always there's always something fun to do. When my wife and I were dating, I took her there, and we went up and on top. What is it? Monona Terrace there. Looking out over the lake, and I mean, there's a ton of cool stuff there. And last time we were there was probably it's probably been 5 or so years. So I don't know how many breweries have been added since that time, but there were a few of them right around the square area up there. I mean, they weren't like right on the square; they were off the square and things like that. But there were a few of them.
It's with the pandemic, there's been a few that have left and a few that have come, so it's sort of balanced out over the last 5 years.
Yeah, awesome. That's what tends to happen. The weaker of the herd fall off, and new ones come in, and we'll see how long they last. All right, so we are going to be talking about beer, and the beer that we're going to be talking about today is a style that's one that I quite enjoy. It's actually my wife's favorite style of beer, so we have it in the house quite often. It's Saisons.
Yeah, Saisons.
So I'm actually going to step the game up a little bit. I am going to be having a barrel aged Saison.
There you go.
That's aged on black currant. So there you go, or black currant, depending on how you want to pronounce it. But it's from a local called Barrel Heart, and all they do are Saisons.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
So yeah, and it's one of those styles that it can be very nuanced. There can be so many different little flavors inside the main flavors, because everybody knows the main flavors of Saison. It's grassy, it's that farmyard funk. It's got maybe some wet horse blanket, whatever. But you can get a lot of nuances in there, depending on if it was open fermented. Okay, well, what was in the air at the time when it was fermenting? Or if it's like this one and it's aged on fruit, well, what fruit was on it, and things like that.
This is what I love about the style. Like, you could talk about any style on the spectrum, and spectrums with various other styles are kind of narrow. There's a tail end on each side, but there's not too much between the two ends. You talk Saisons, and that spectrum just gets enormous, because, like you said, you could have something that is acidic and a little bit more barnyardy and funky and borderline sour, and then you have something on the other side that is way more calm and grassy and farmhousey without the funk to it. You could have all these other flavors, and it still qualifies as like BJCP style Saison, regardless if there's black currant or mine was aged in stainless and then oak. So you're getting two different flavor formations happening from those two different containers. So it's not even an additive, but it's still Saison at the end of the day. So for me, I've got Melancholia, which I had Googled. Apparently it's a movie from 2011. And it also means sadness and depression. So I did not realize that going in. I'm not sad about this beer. It is bringing no discomforting emotions to me. It tastes delicious.
And what brewery produces that?
This is Vale. They are out of Richmond, Virginia. Pretty sought after brewing company, particularly in the Midwest, because they don't distribute out here too often. And it was a really exciting one, because I feel like a lot of breweries that do Saisons, they keep it in-house, excluding some of the ones where like that is their thing, just Saisons.
Right.
But any other brewery that's hitting a broad range of styles, they tend to make Saisons because it's fun, and then they just sell them out of their tap room, and so you got to go there. Whereas to go to a bottle shop, you maybe have an option of 1, 2, 3 saisons, perhaps not a whole lot. So it was an exciting time when they brought this to Madison.
Awesome. So for your brew bar, how many craft beers do you tend to have on tap at any given time?
On tap, we have 17, and then we have a 16-foot long cooler that's a reach-in cooler, so no doors. You're able to just go right in, grab it, see everything without fogged or dirty plastic coverings or anything like that. So it's all to say it's beautiful to look at. Like the taps are great too. I have beautiful flow control Belgian style taps on, but the cooler is also eye candy. And there we have about 95 options at any given time. That's kind of like the minimum and what I promote. Sometimes I get crazy with beer ordering and get up to like 125 different ones, in which case my manager and team says, Garth, stop ordering beer for a little bit. We have too much to move through.
Gotcha. So, like I said, I didn't realize that you were in Madison before we started talking, and I think it's great that option is available. If you happen to be anywhere near the Madison area, stop in and see Garth.
Please
man.
do.
I mean, especially if you want up to 125 different styles of beer to choose from.
Yep. And like it's this one location. It's my focus. It's my baby. It's my energy is there. And we keep it fun there too. So if anybody's listening, come through Madison, bring some beer. We'll do a little trade. We'll open some bottles or cans. We always have a nice collection of fun stuff in the back that beer tenders can pull out and serve with guests. So, I tried, it is a place that you could come and shop, but I try to make it as much more of an experience as possible when people come in, even if they show a little bit of interest, a couple questions about what's in the cooler, etc. We're geeks. All my team members too are Cicerone beer server certified. So they can talk the talk, walk the walk, and then they all have their own quirks and passions in the beer space. I'll tell you, hey, talk to this person if you're into sours. Talk to this person if you're into IPAs. Talk to me if you're into saisons.
So you're a Cicerone as well.
Yeah,
correct?
So I'm a certified Cicerone. So the Cicerone organization has kind of 4 levels now. Beer server, you could study for about. My wife, who was not a beer person when I was dating her, studied for about like 4 hours or so, and then passed that exam. So it's kind of doable over a weekend. And then there's the certified Cicerone. That is so much studying, so much knowledge, everything from grain to glass you've got to know about it. I think you've done an episode around beer education too. Not sure if you touched on the Cicerone with it, but
no, we were focusing on Prud'homme, which is the Canadian equivalent of a Cicerone.
Awesome.
But same thing. There's 4 levels. I am a lowly level 1 beer enthusiast.
You got to start somewhere.
And honestly, it's a class. Even if you're never going to be a beer server like the Cicerone level 1, taking the class just to know more about beer is a fantastic thing to do. I mean, I went in as a brewer, as somebody who drinks a lot of beer, who visits a lot of breweries, and I still had a great time and learned a few things I didn't know, especially like, the class I'm in, was focusing more on the social aspect of beer.
Cool.
So how to talk to people who might not understand flavors of beer and relate it to things they would understand. Well, if you like something that tastes like toffee, you'll like this, or if you're having a burger, try it with this type of beer and it'll bring the flavors, bring each other out or whatever, or contrast each other, things like that. So that was the whole aspect for that class. And it was great. And I do intend to try and get all the way up to level 4. It's a big time commitment.
It is. I mean, I studied for a solid year and a half before I took the exam. I passed the written portion first time, but I had to retake the tasting portion twice. That was hard. And I will joke with people like, I've studied a lot. I've drank a lot of good beer, but I'll tell you got to drink some bad beer too. If you want to be a certified Cicerone, you've got to know your off flavors, how to solve them or prevent them. You've got to be able to detect them blindly. You've got to be able to decide, hey, is this a Baltic Porter or an Irish Dry Stout or a Helles Lager versus a German Pilsner. You got to know all those nuances. So it was tough. And then they basically, I don't remember what number of years ago, maybe 5-10 years ago, they created the advanced level Cicerone because everyone was failing trying to go for the master Cicerone from the certified. And they're like, hey, guys, we got to do something here. We got to put something in between those two. So I have taken that exam. I did not pass that one. I kind of knew it going in. I didn't study as much as I wanted to, but now I kind of know what to anticipate for that exam. So I'll be ready for round 2 with it.
So tell me a little bit about the beer you're drinking. What's the flavor profile on that?
This one, so I kind of go through all the senses, right, when appreciating beer. On the nose, it's a lot of hay, a lot of horse blankets. I could tell it's going to be maybe a touch funky just from the aroma. Mouthfeel, super effervescent. I mean, that's pretty much classic in a Saison to be fairly carbonated and to feel it kind of dance across the palate. And the flavor it's slightly funky. I think the funkiness is kind of dissipated. I just pour this, at the beginning here, and it's warming up a little bit. And normally, like when a funky beer warms up, more funkiness tends to come out, but this one's mellowing out a little bit, which is kind of intriguing. But some horse blankety notes, a tiny bit of funk. You had mentioned grassy earlier. There's like a subtle grassiness to it, I'm guessing from the hops. And I do get a fair amount of oak with this too. So, stainless steel, when a beer is aged in that, it doesn't
really give it anything.
Give it anything. It like lets it do its own work for itself in that barrel. But I could definitely tell like oak aged here is exquisite and not too long. So I'm not detecting an overpowering, not acidic, like the pucker.
Tartness.
That I'm not detecting that. So this is fairly drinkable. I'm surprised I still have this much left in my glass.
See, I was smart. I pulled out a 750 ml bottle. So, because I'm in a tiny little recording booth. My recording booth is like, I think it's like 7.5 feet long by 4 feet wide. And it gets really hot in here. So I tend to drink more. A lot. I tend to drink it faster. And I found that I always, if I'm just doing like a tall boy can, I have to have two, because I will go through the first one while we're talking and because it gets so warm in here. And then, so now I'm like, well, I got a nice big bottle. I can take my time.
I've got my backup here.
Yeah. So with this one, the aroma is, it's all the black currant, man. It's, with just a hint of like acidity to it, like when you sniff in something that's acidic, you get that slight tingle. Yeah. No funk whatsoever, but that's because if I remember correctly, this one is aged for, I think it's, I think the owner said it was aged for 18 months in barrels. And he uses oak barrels. He's got a fantastic facility. It's a tiny little place. I think it's like 25 feet wide by like 60 feet deep. And it's just floor to ceiling, just stacks of barrels. They've got like this tiny little counter and like two little tables where you can sit and have drinks. And then it's just all barrels.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But flavor wise,
the color, though, oh my gosh, I could. That is crazy. Look at the difference of those two Saisons. This is what I'm saying. The spectrum. It could be all the way on this side. It could be all the way on that side. It's massive spectrum.
Yeah, this one, the flavor, it's all fruit. I mean, it's sweet. It's effervescent. My camera's doing the stupid thing where it follows my head. I forgot to turn that off. wait, there. I think I got it to turn off. It's an AI powered smart camera, so it knows gestures, and if I accidentally move my hand the wrong way, it's like, oh, you want me to follow you. But so it is effervescent, slightly tart, slightly acidic. So you get that pucker in the back of your jaw, but then you also get that tingle from it being slightly acidic. But oh man, this is easy to drink. And it's not overly proofed. It's only a 6.6%.
That's pleasant. That's nice.
So yeah, so even though it's barrel aged, it's not overly powerful, and you can drink more than one. You know, it's not like when I'm hitting the imperial barrel aged imperial stouts that are coming in at 12, 13%. Now, you know, this is nice. I tried this for the first time when we found this place, and I was pleasantly surprised. They had this one. They had one that was aged on cherries.
Okay.
They have just a straight saison that's aged in oak. And then I also picked up, he did a one-off that was a Goza that he barrel aged, and I think he said he left it in the barrels for 12 months. And he said it's really smooth, and it is not tart at all, and it barely has any of the saltiness left. But the flavor profile, he said, mingled the Goza mingling with the oak, he said, just worked.
That is awesome. My mouth is watering just hearing you talk about that one.
Well, I tell you what, I'm actually planning on coming back down to the area. I have a friend who owns a brewery in the Milwaukee area who I have to go visit this summer. Maybe I'll just swing through and drop you off a bottle.
Swing through, or let me know when you're coming through. Milwaukee's an easy drive for me, so I could pop over there.
Yeah, I mean it's like an hour from Madison, so yeah. I have a buddy who owns it's the Explorium Brew Pub. They've got 2 locations now. They've got one in Greendale and one in the 3rd Ward, downtown Milwaukee.
Yep. So we actually just brewed a beer with them. They're one of our collaboration brews just a few months ago.
Oh yeah. So Mike Doble. Yeah. So my buddy Mike, we're going to visit them. It'll probably be June, maybe July. I haven't nailed the time down exactly yet, the date yet, but yeah, we're going to swing through. Awesome. We're going to visit them for a couple days and then swing down to Rockford for a day or two to visit friends and family, and then head back here. So that's awesome. Like you were saying earlier, it is a small world. So what kind of brew did you do
we did a red ale, and we added a little bit of rye to it. So we called it a Red Rider was the name. Yeah, nice. I'm sure there's probably somebody that has done that. We got to the point where we were brainstorming all the names and looking them up on Untappd and whatnot, and every clever rye name has been used in some capacity. But the beer itself turned out fantastic. We had minimal brewing process issues, easy ones to overcome in the moment. And so hit all of our numbers. Beer turned out great. And I was very worried. I've homebrewed with rye before, and I've ruined it every time by adding too much rye. Rye is like one of those where once you've crossed this threshold, you've crossed the threshold. There's no recovering from that.
It's like an avocado, not ripe, overripe.
Yep. So the whole time I'm like, guys, let's play this one safe, please. I've burnt myself on this too many times.
So which location did you guys brew at?
We brewed out of. So I went to the 3rd Ward location thinking that's where it was, and I just walk in and I'm waiting and there's nobody there, and so I text him and he's like, "Hey, we're starting." I'm like, "What do you mean you're starting? Like, I'm here. Where are you?" He meant the other location, so we ended up at the Greendale location brewing there.
You ended up at the mall, huh? Yeah. And you know, it's funny. I have yet to go to the 3rd Ward location. It's opened, it opened while the pandemic restrictions were on for border crossing. So I haven't been across the border. Gotcha. I have since, but I haven't been to Milwaukee since. So the only location I know is the Greendale location. I'm actually a lifetime Mug Club member at the Greendale location.
That's awesome. Are you going to go to both then? Or at least going to go?
Yeah, because we're going to be in Milwaukee for a couple days, so we'll probably we'll obviously hit the Greendale location, and then we'll hit the 3rd Ward. Because we were Mug Club members at both locations. When they first opened, we bought mugs for the 3rd Ward location just to show a sign of support for the first year.
That's awesome. Always appreciate that.
Yeah, it's funny. We were joking earlier, and you were talking about camaraderie, and there's always everyone in the craft beer world, even if you're competitors, you're not really competitors. You need help. A craft brewer from another brewery, 9 times out of 10 will be like, yeah, we'll help you. Like, and I see it all the time here. One of our other friends up here owns a brewery called Grain and Grit, and they were having some technical problems with stuff. And there's literally a brewery a block down the street from them called Fairweather. And they called those guys, and within 20 minutes, the Fairweather crew was down at their location to help them get stuff done, or help them, they one time their labeler broke, and they just walked down the street, grabbed the labeler from the other brewery. And so it's nice, the camaraderie and the kinship that comes with craft beer.
Totally. Especially with the pandemic, we saw that in even bigger ways. I mean, people were loaning bottling lines, canning lines, running production, staying up late to help another brewery out. It was really awesome. I mean, there's the basics of collaborating, like collaboration brews, but equipment and personnel and time and money and all of those things. And that's just, it blows my mind, and I love it every single time I'm in it, and almost experience a story every brewery that I go to. They've always had a recent experience, because it's also craft. Like, this is hands-on stuff for the most part for most breweries. Shit breaks often. And supply chain issues. You could put a hashtag supply chain issues. Like, brewers can't stop. They got to keep going. So they call on friends, get support. It's great.
Yeah, it's funny. The supply chain issues even affected me as a home brewer. I was looking to buy a new system, something bigger. I was looking to buy a 1-barrel system, and I was originally going to buy one from Blickman. But they told me, because of supply chain issues, it was a 50-week lead time. 50 weeks. I'm like,
you know how many beers you could brew in that time?
Right? That's literally, 2 weeks shy of a year. It's like, you tell me there's a year lead time. I ended up buying a system, had it custom fabricated by a Chinese company. And it was a 45-day turnaround.
That's wild. That's wild.
But it was amazing that, I was like, what do you mean it's going to be a year before I can get a brewing system? So I understand that the supply chain issues more than a lot of people I talked to. Like, oh yeah, I couldn't get this at the store. I'm like, yeah, I couldn't get anything made of stainless for ages. And it's still stupid expensive.
Yeah, it's expensive, and even right now, there's particularly larger breweries that are trying to get bigger equipment. They could purchase it, but it's like a 2-year lead time. One of the largest contract breweries in the state of Wisconsin, in my backyard here, he's purchased equipment. He's not going to see it for 3 years from now, and that is like blowing my mind.
Right? It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, when I first started saving up the money to buy the new system, the system that I wanted to buy was supposed to be like $5,700 US. So we're talking like $8,000 Canadian. And by the time I actually got around to buying it, that same exact system was $12,000. I'm like, literally nothing has changed about this. Why did the price go up, double?
Yeah. I wonder, I'm going to tie this back to Saisons. I wonder if some of the supply chain issues has led to an increase in Saisons being made, because fooders, Foeder, fooders have gotten more and more popular, and more breweries have gotten them, and it's all oak. I mean, there's like a little stainless steel on them, but a minute amount.
It's the rings that hold it together.
Thin little pieces, like easy to slap on, probably easy to obtain, but I've been impressed. I was going to ask if the brewery that you have this beer from, did they have any fooders there, or were they all classic?
No, it's all just it's classic barrels. He's got what's he got? I think it's 10 across and 5 high, so like 50 barrels. And they're all the standard, they're all the 1 barrel size, but he does have an oversized one in the back that because he let me wander into the back of his place because it's not that big. You could literally like look around the corner and see everything. He's like, oh, come on back. But he's got one that's I want to say it's 3 times. It's like a 3 barrel size, so it's almost a footer. It's not what I would call one because it's not quite. It's more like a tune than it is a footer. But for other than that, it's all just oak barrels, and it's a lot of them.
That's cool.
So you said you helped your buddy originally with homebrew. Do you still homebrew?
I don't homebrew anymore. I actually sold my equipment, 2 years ago. 2 years ago at this point. I've just been brewing on a commercial scale now so regularly that it scratches the itch. And and my homebrew was it was okay. I think I was getting pretty good, but being able to lean on other brewer experts has been game changing because I go to them and I pretty much know, even if I give them a shit recipe, they'll give me feedback, they'll correct it, and they've got the equipment and sanitation practices down. So I was doing okay, but I love doing it on the commercial size now. And I say commercial size, but that could mean I've done 1 barrel brews at smaller breweries and larger ones.
Yeah. And mine technically is a commercial system. I mean, the company I bought it from typically doesn't sell to consumers. They sell to breweries and brew pubs. And this is like their pilot series. It's a 1 barrel pilot system. It's a skid mounted 3 vessel. It's nice. I enjoy it. The one thing I didn't think about when I decided to get a 1 barrel system is because I brew so much beer in a single session now, I don't brew as often because I have to drink the beer that's here and it's just me and my wife.
That's a real problem.
It is. It's like, oh, I should brew this. Oh, wait, I still have 3 kegs of this left. Oh, I should brew this. Oh, I still have 2 kegs of this left.
It's crazy. Everybody's buying homebrew equipment, but we need more people buying kegerators. Something that I can give them a keg of the beer and they can actually drink it, or we need to throw more parties or something like that.
Yeah, well, I do have I have a 12-foot long commercial cooler as well. It's a 4-door cooler. Half of it is set up to hold kegs for I've got a 3-tap tree on it, and then the other half is just for my bottles and cans. Awesome. So it'll hold. It'll hold what I think 12 on the one side. I think you can cram probably 10 would be the best number, but you could hold up to 12 6-stills in
that's
it.
Impressive. That's reasonable size.
Yeah, it's big, and then the other half. I mean, it's not really half. It's more like the other third. It's like 2/3 of it is for the kegs, and a third of it's for the other. We'll hold several cases of beer because I can fit the shelves are deep enough that I can fit 2 cases deep and 2 cases tall on each shelf. Cool. So I can hold quite a bit of beer in my home cooler.
Brilliant. That's brilliant. I had a guest come to the bar a couple weekends ago. And he was showing me photos of this new house that he had just bought and visions for right now. There exists a walk-in fridge, walk-in cooler that I think previous owners used for literally refrigeration of food, vegetables, yada yada. And he's giving me this grand vision of all right, who's your tap installer? Who's your draft system installer? I need his contact because we're going to do 4 of these. And by the way, can I get kegs from you? So we were doing business, and it's great. And then home units, home draft systems, more and more impressive. Every year I talk to more people that have gone through it and more than just, grabbing a cooler with a single tap tower. They're building cool shit and integrating it into homes and integrating into spaces in really, really impressive ways.
Well, when we built the garage on this house 4 years ago now, And we purpose built it so that I would have brewing space in it. Our garage is 2.5 cars wide and 55 feet deep. So you can park in the front. My wife does her gardening stuff in the middle, and I do brewing in the back. Yeah, and I've got an all glass roll up door. So in the summertime, I have that open.
Yeah.
It's got 15-foot tall ceiling, so I've got plenty of room in there to, I don't feel like I'm penned in.
Yeah, you're not in a beer spa. That's I would home brew
right.
like a 750 square foot apartment when my wife and I were dating, and I was home brewing pretty regularly, and she'd come home from class or whatever, and she would get her beer spa because the whole place would just be full of humidity and smell like beer, and I loved it. I felt like a real spa. She did not.
But yeah, when we had this garage built, I kept threatening my wife that I was going to have a line run out to our pool house, so that I could just have a tap down at the pool. Because I'm like, well, I'm having new electric run out there because we were upgrading the electric in the house and everything. I'm like, well, they got to upgrade it to the pool house because it was all old, all 60 amp, and we put 200 amp in service into the house and everything. I was like, man, they're already running conduit. I could just have them run one more, and then I could run a glycol line and the beer line right out there. I mean,
make it happen. Let's go.
But I have also been threatening to install a cask system. Our house has a full basement plus 2 crawl spaces in it. It's a weird 50s like prairie house style home. So mid-century style house, but it's got this crawl space that would be perfect to hold, I don't know, 3 or 4 casks and put a beer engine up in the garage area where the brewing kit is, and just
that'd be fun.
Right. Fun. Just, I mean, the worst part would be loading the casks into the crawl space, because I would have to bring them down the stairs in the house and put them in the crawl space.
But isn't that like classic cellarmanship right there? Like,
right.
It has to be difficult. Otherwise it's not real.
Right. Yeah. And then yeah, just like have old school pump beer engine, man. No, you want a beer, you got to pump it up here yourself.
Oh man, I read a couple textbooks. I'm not the largest fan of cask ales. I appreciate the nuances and the flavor and the history, and I will always try them. But reading about it, the intensity and sharpness of knowledge that you have to have as a cellarman to know, basically, you've got to be intimate with that beer. You've got to know when it's been brought in, what temperatures it's been at, what the carbonation level is. If you've actually pumped it, how long, how often, how frequently, when is it going to be, going to expire? Just on and on. Like, that's work. That is hard.
It is. I mean, well, it's a lot of record keeping, because unlike traditional beers that are draft pour, beer engine just uses oxygen, man. You're like pumping the air. You're putting air into that cask every time you're pulling a draft out. So you got to know how long it's been there, because it'll go bad a lot faster than something that's kept in your cooler under pressure with CO2.
Oh yeah.
So if you had to choose one style of beer that you'd say is your favorite, what would it be, Garth?
Ooh, that's a great question. I will omit Saisons from this equation, because selfishly I picked this one because it's my favorite. I have an affinity for Czech style pilsners. I feel like a lot of breweries now are even brought, like, they're going beyond just the classic pilsners of Czech and German pilsner and American pilsner. They're having Italian pilsners, and I've seen Spanish pilsners. I mean, they're just going balls to the wall basically with ingredients for it, but keeping that pilsner base. But Czech pilsners, a little bit of extra sulfur with it. I love the breadiness to the Czech pilsner as well, and I like the dryness too. Probably why I like Saisons, because a lot of them have a little bit of wine-like dryness. It kind of evaporates your mouth. Yep. And I don't know, it's a pleasant feeling to me. It doesn't sound like a great feeling when you talk about it, but it's nice on the palate to me and makes me want to keep drinking more and appreciate it.
Right. And that's the thing about something with a dry finish. It's like, oh, I need another drink. Yeah. I was drinking earlier today I was drinking an English style bitter from a brewery up in Toronto here called Left Field,
Okay.
and it's a traditional English bitter. It's 4.2%. It's slightly biscuity. It's a little bit, just a hint of caramel on it. It's got a lightly floral aroma, and it's got a nice dry, bitter finish.
That sounds so good.
And you take a sip of it, and you finish it. You're like, I need another drink because my mouth is dry. And because it's only 4.2%, you can have a few of them, and one, not feel it, and two, not feel guilty about it.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And I think hitting that, I feel like attenuation and managing that from a brewing process. I mean, there's so much data that a brewer can use at their fingertips. And there are some styles where it's kind of like, let's follow this recipe, but there's other styles that you have to monitor more closely to get the impact that you want out of it. And I feel like Czech style Pilsners is one where it's not as simple as like, let me just follow this recipe and then it's going to ferment. And after this specific amount of days, it's good to go. It is, hey, we need to be monitoring how much is attenuated, what's the ABV to make sure it's not rising so much, but at the same time, it's eating enough sugar to make it less sweet. That's a hard to manage thing that I've seen. I think more brewers are going down passive brewing beers like that. One, because if you ask a brewer what year is it, they're going to say year of the lager. And two, I think that they're just using software and data to their advantage finally, and they're getting access to those tools that they didn't before, and they're realizing like, shit, I could actually brew the beers that I had wanted to brew that were hard to brew in an old traditional way without data or software or even just simple meters and fermentation tanks. That's kind of like a standard now. Versus like, let me just keep tasting it day by day, which they do too. That's never going to go away. That is like,
no, that's a perk of the job.
Exactly. Whether they need to or not, it's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, and the thing, the funny, talking about software and everything, like even as a home brewer, a lot of that has filtered down to home brewing. Like I use a product called Beersmith to help me make my recipes. And I use electronic devices. I've got Kegland, the big beer distributor. They make equipment. Beer equipment distributor has a thing that rivals the Tilt. I don't know if you're familiar with the Tilt. It's a wireless thing you throw in your fermenter to help you monitor the ABV. They've got one that's called the Wrapped Pill, and you can literally watch real time. It just keeps a graph and it shows you, okay, here's the approximate ABV, here's the approximate gravity. It shows you all the stuff. So there's just this wealth of information that is now available to us, even as home brewers. And it, there's honestly, in this day and age, there's no excuse except for I've never brewed beer before. Other than that excuse, there's no excuse for not making decent beer anymore at home. Because you've got basically all the same type of tools, maybe not the same caliber of tools, but the same type of tools to help you make much better beer. And it doesn't matter if you're doing it on your stove, if you've got like one of those all-in-one like Grainfather units, or like me, you've got something that's more commercial leaning. It's the knowledge is out there. And there's plenty of other things. Like there's even online, there's like, what is it? Brewfather or something like that. The website, you can go in and help, it's got basically the same type of thing as Beersmith. It'll help you design your recipe and tell you if it's within style guidelines and all that stuff, and tell you basic steps on how to do it, So, I mean, it's a great time to be a brewer.
It totally is. Isn't this a great time to be a brewer's friend now? There was a time that it was a good time to be a brewer's friend, having to try a lot of shit. Literally crap.
Well, hey, Garth, we've been talking for 45 minutes. And this is the part of the show where I say, hey, this is the end of the show.
Love it.
If people are looking for you, where can they find you? One, on the socials.
Yeah, Garth's Brew Bar on social. Otherwise, if you want to follow what we're doing at the software company, Encompass Technologies, hit us up there if you're interested in that.
And physically, where can they find Garth's Brew Bar?
Madison, Wisconsin. It's on Monroe Street specifically. And you had mentioned Vilas Zoo early on. It's not too far away from that. So if you're a family person, come hit up the zoo. Or honestly, if you're not a family person, go to the zoo anyway. It's free. It's enjoyable.
It's free, and it's a great little zoo.
And maybe if it's that scenario, you'll come to Garth's Brew Bar first and then go to the zoo, whereas the other way.
There you go.
Got you.
Excellent. And what are the hours of the brew bar?
We're pretty much closed on Mondays, but Tuesday through Friday open at 8 a.m., closed at 9 p.m., and Saturday and Sunday open at 8. We close at 10 on Saturday and close at 7 p.m. on Sunday. Just a few hours shape.
Yeah. No, that way your staff has a little bit of time on the weekends, and you don't feel like you've spent your entire time just working. I get it. And it's nice to have that work-life balance these days, isn't it?
It is. And Mondays have been like, I don't have to worry about phone calls with anything that might be going wrong or hearing pitches or any of that. Like, it's a time to breathe, recuperate, rejuvenate, and go at it again Tuesday through Sunday.
Excellent. All right, my friend. Well, until next time, I'm Rob from the internet. Cheers.